So, Greg, how did the Singularity portfolio perform this past April?
In April, we generally saw very strong economic data. The Singularity Fund performed in excess of 5% in April and outperformed global equities by about 1%. Since inception of the strategy, net of fees, the fund is up by 75%, which translates into about 18% annualized versus global equities, which have performed about 45% cumulatively. By now, we are also deeply into the first quarter earnings season, and 3/4 of the companies in the portfolio have reported so far. We've seen a 10% increase quarter on quarter in EBITDA and a 40% increase on a year-over-year basis. And revenues have increased in the first quarter by about 2% versus the fourth quarter last year, and by roughly 20% year over year.
Which were the top performing titles and sectors?
The top contributors for the month were Alphabet, Nvidia, Microsoft, and Intuitive Surgical on very strong earnings results. The detractors or laggards in during the month of April were Intel, Ørsted, and JD.com. In terms of Singularity sectors and performance, the top performers were advanced materials, blockchain, and AI, while the laggards were new energy and IoT this time around.
On May the 10th, we actually launched a new product. Can you maybe please explain what kind of product that is at all?
We launched our Singularity Small and Mid portfolio in the form of a UBS actively managed certificate. It's a natural extension of our investment strategy. Since the inception of our investment methodology about 3.5 years ago, we have been scoring and analyzing companies with respect to their exposure to Singularity sectors across the board, across sectors, regions, and market caps. And while the Singularity Fund strategy naturally gravitates more towards large cap names, we felt that small and mid cap firms, which are highly innovative and interesting, were underrepresented. And therefore, we created a portfolio which exclusively focuses on this part of the market within a market cap range of 1 to 25 billion. An additional feature that we put in this strategy is that we focus on the higher Singularity scores within each gig sector, and we reduce the portfolio to the top 100 names, whereas in the Singularity Fund, it's a bit more diversified at 300 names.
Who are you targeting with the Singularity Small and Mid?
At this point, the strategy is available to professional investors generally, in most countries, as well as retail investors in Switzerland. We're also currently working on a European prospectus, which will give us the opportunity to distribute the strategy across the European Economic Region, and that should be available by the end of the month or the beginning of June.
And how did this new product perform in backtests, and what's to be expected in that regard?
In the backtest, based on our live data of scored companies over the last 3.5 years, the strategy has recorded an annualized performance of 22. And that compares with a global small and mid cap equity universe that has recorded a return of about 12% per annum over the same period. And we do think that going forward, we will be able to continue to outperform the small and mid cap space and add alpha. We think now is particularly also an interesting time to invest in small and mid cap equities because over the long run, we observe a size effect. And this is particularly true for high quality equities, which is the case for our portfolio. When we look across the characteristics of this small and mid cap portfolio, we can see a high degree of profitability, low debt levels, as well as strong growth characteristics.
So May is the month of the biannual rebalancing. Are there any trends or something else you want to share?
We're currently in the process of finalizing the semi-annual rebalancing. which will come into effect by the end of the month. Some of the names that have moved up the ranks are PayPal, ASML, and Medtronic. And on the way down, we see names such as SAP, Alibaba, and Ørsted. New names in the portfolio will include Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, Roblox, and Coinbase. Dropouts can be found amongst some of the banks, such as JP Morgan, as well as, for example, Rockwell Automation and Amgen. We will put out a more detailed report on the rebalancing and the results next month. And we'll also inform in this Gradcast.